Hello, my name is Anna and I love trying vintage recipes. So today I'm trying 3 dishes from the 1940s. Today's recipes come to us from the Watkins Cookbook. This edition was published in 1948 and we'll talk more about it a little bit later. You may be familiar with Watkins products. The company was founded in 1868 and they sold liniment. That was their first product. J.R. Watkins went door to door selling liniment, but the company moved to Winona, Minnesota in 1895 and they added a lot of food and baking products to their line, and they are still there in Winona, Minnesota. That is where they are based. They've kind of changed their sales model over the years. It used to be more of a door-to-door, direct sales kind of company, but now you're able to purchase their products in stores as well. Full disclosure, I'm not using any Watkins products today because I don't have any. I'm just using whatever spices and extracts and things that I have on hand. This book has some very interesting recipes, and I can't wait to show you the ones that I've chosen. Now, the first recipe I'm going to try is called cornflake pudding, and that is not something that I think I have ever heard of. You know, there's gonna be cornflakes in a baking dish and you make a little bit of a custard to pour over that. And I happen to have all of these ingredients on hand, so win for me, right? I have a buttered baking dish here and I've placed 1 cup of cornflakes in it. I'm cutting the recipe in half. It doesn't indicate what size baking dish you need, so I'm hoping this is the right one, you know, that it's gonna work. I think it will, just based on the other ingredients that I have here. Blend all ingredients and pour over flakes. So other ingredients, we have a cup of milk here. Oh no. Molasses, I have a 1/4 cup of molasses. Like overflowed a little bit. I need to get a spatula. I did oil this measuring cup before I added the molasses to it, so you can see it comes out like most of the way. There's just like a little tiny bit in there. Get that out with my tiny spatula. I like to oil measuring cups for things like corn syrup and honey and of course molasses, just so they kind of like get out of there a little bit easier. I also have a 1/4 cup of sugar, a pinch of ginger and a pinch of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla, and I'm gonna get that started before I add the egg. Slow it down a little bit. Okay, I can smell the molasses. Very distinct scent. And I have 1 egg here. My mixture is all well combined. I probably could have done that with a whisk, but I wasn't quite sure because of like the thickness of the molasses, if it would blend as well. So I just used a hand mixer. Do what you want. And now I need to pour this mixture over my cornflakes. Oh, oh dear, it's like, yeah, it is a little strange. Looks like a strange bowl of cereal. I don't really want to tip it too much, but hopefully you can see what I'm seeing. It says to bake this at 350 degrees until the mixture is set, and it gives no time whatsoever. So I'm gonna start baking it. I will keep track of the time and I'll just have to get back to you with that. Okay, 35 minutes really seemed to do the trick on this, I think. I noticed, so I tried 20 minutes first and it wasn't really there, it was still kind of liquid. But then at one point I noticed that the sides, I don't know, can I touch it? The sides were like pulling away, the pudding or whatever was pulling away from the sides of the dish. So I stuck a knife in there and it did seem cooked in the middle, just slightly jiggly. The cornflakes really kind of like, some of them floated to the top and got kind of crisp, which I'm excited about. I'm just gonna take a little bit. Okay, there's like a little bit of molasses in the bottom of the dish, and I think that is by design. What it's reminding me of, like with that liquid in there, is the ranch pudding that I made. So I think it's kind of like a self-saucing situation, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It's still kind of warm. I left it for a few minutes, but I really want to give it a taste. That's very nice. I like that some of the cornflakes on top got crispy. I think that's very nice. This does kind of make a lot. This amount I would say is at least 4 servings, and this is half of a recipe. Nice sweetness. I love the flavor of molasses. Sometimes I say it tastes old-fashioned, or like my kitchen smells old-fashioned right now, like kind of an old-fashioned bakery, like a molasses ginger cookie. Yeah, so some of the cornflakes kind of stay in the liquid and get soft, but then some are on top and they get nice and crisp. Wow, not really like a bread pudding either. I wasn't sure what to expect from this, but I do really like it. Next up, I'm making spaghetti. This one, there's like several spaghetti recipes on this page. I'm making this one and it's pretty simple, a little vague on some of the amounts. Now what this recipe is reminding me of is like, we had a snowstorm and I'm kind of like putting some stuff together that I just have on hand, or provisions are running low or whatever. You know, this is not a spaghetti recipe that I've ever really tried. It's got tomato soup in it. And actually we did have a snowstorm. I don't have to make this, but I want to make this, but we definitely did have a snowstorm. You know, it wasn't as bad as it was for some people. I live in an area that's usually pretty prepared for snow. So it was like, yeah, we got a lot of snow, but like, we're fine. We hunkered down for like one day. We have more on the way though. So maybe I should try to get to the store and get a few things before that happens. But I'm really worried about the people who aren't really like used to super cold temperatures and ice and snowstorms. Hope y'all are doing okay. I don't know, hopefully we'll get out of this soon, but it seems like those cold temperatures, they're really just persisting at the moment. I started by cooking some spaghetti according to package directions. The recipe doesn't indicate an amount for how much spaghetti you need. I cooked 6 ounces of dry spaghetti mostly because it was what I had left in an already opened box. Am I gonna use all of it? I don't know. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. But in this pan, I have 3 slices of bacon that I've cut into very small pieces, and I need to fry those until they are light brown. My bacon is starting to turn light brown, so I'm gonna add my chopped onion. Again, there's no amount on this one either. It just said chopped onion. So I'm doing like half of a small onion. I'm thinking like based on the amount of tomato soup that's gonna go in here. I didn't wanna like do too much. So let's see how that cooks up. My onion's starting to get pretty brown, so we're gonna move on. I have to add my seasonings. It says chili powder, no indication of how much. So I'm starting with like half a teaspoon. I think that's probably fine. And a little pinch of salt and some pepper. And start there. And now I have to add my tomato soup, and I have tomato bisque here. I know it's different, but that's what I have in my pantry, and that's what we're doing today. So this basically just, it has like cream in it, you know, it's a little bit more cream forward. Oh yeah, we're angry. Ooh, it's very tomatoey. It's a pleasant scent. I'm gonna scrape the can off camera. Okay, that's bubbling away. Now I need to add my spaghetti. I don't know how much I want to put in here. I might use all of it. I don't think this is supposed to be like super saucy. So just, you know, a light coating of sauce maybe on the spaghetti. Okay, that's like 2/3 of it. Let me stir that in and find out how it ends up. And I'm actually, once I add the desired amount of spaghetti, I'm supposed to cook this for 5 more minutes. Okay, so 2/3 of that spaghetti seemed to be the right way to go. So I would say about 4 ounces of dry spaghetti and then cooked. That's probably what you want for this. And I just wanted to show you what it looks like before I plate it up and give it a taste. All right, I've got my little plate of spaghetti here on a butterfly gold plate, if you recognize that pattern. I know people like to see what plates I'm using and they're like, oh, I grew up with that pattern, I remember that. We're just gonna go for it. Spaghetti, not the most graceful thing to eat on camera, but I'm gonna try. Okay. Oh, you know what? Oh yeah, I definitely have thoughts. Okay, a little bit sweet because tomato soup is sweet. The bacon fat really helps the sauce cling to the noodles. It's not exactly like this, but I'm gonna say it's heading in this direction. Filipino spaghetti. That's what this is reminding me of. If you've ever had spaghetti from Jollibee, which I miss Jollibee. We had one close by when we lived in California. And now I think the closest one that we have, they opened one in the Chicago area a couple years ago. So I don't get to have that too much anymore. There's a local Filipino restaurant that sometimes does the spaghetti, but I haven't tried theirs yet. They don't have it all the time. Again, it's not exactly like that, but the sweetness, the Jolly spaghetti has cut up hot dogs in it, or like a certain kind of like sausages or something, like cured meat. So the bacon has kind of given me that too. Again, not exact, but like I'm kind of excited to have discovered this recipe when I'm having a bit of a craving for that kind of spaghetti. All right, last recipe. I am making a cheese dish. I don't know what this one is either. I'm guessing like an egg bake, maybe cross between an egg bake and a souffle. Not quite as puffy as a souffle, because you're not whipping up egg whites or anything. But I've got all of my ingredients here. I did try to let the egg come to room temperature and I let the milk sit. I wanted things to be sort of at a similar temperature level before I mix them up. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, my butter's already, it's cold. It's so cold today. My plan was to like melt this butter and let it cool, but I must have let it cool too much. Okay, well, we'll go with it. We'll figure this out. Blend all ingredients, pour into buttered dish. Simple enough, but if you didn't notice while you were looking at this recipe, not only does it not give a bake time, which I can probably figure out, it's fine, I had to do it for the cornflake pudding, it doesn't give a bake temperature either, so I'm going with 350. That is a moderate temperature, so I'm going with 350 for the temp. I will update you on the time after I'm done baking this. So I'm gonna start with 1 egg because I'm cutting the recipe in half. I'm just doing a whisk this time, I'm not gonna do the hand mixer, so I'm gonna break that up a little. So I also have half a cup of milk. I'm gonna do a little pinch of salt and just a bit of pepper as well. I'm trying to decide like what order I wanna do this in. I'm gonna remelt my butter just for a second. Just wanted to kind of warm it up a little bit so it doesn't completely like solidify. I think that worked actually. I just didn't want like chunks, butter chunks. That was a tablespoon of butter, if I didn't say that already. All right, so I've got 2 ingredients left. Half a cup of breadcrumbs. This is where it gets kind of interesting to me. You know, for an egg bake, usually, like what I've made in the past is you tear up bread and put it in the bottom of a pan and then you make like an egg custard and pour it over the top. So breadcrumbs I haven't seen, but hey, I'm willing to give it a try. And those were just plain. You could probably use like seasoned if you have them. You want to add a little pizzazz to your cheese dish. It's funny to me that it's called cheese dish because I really think of this as more of an egg dish with cheese in it, but maybe this will surprise us. The mixture is thickening up as the liquid absorbs into those breadcrumbs. Okay, we've got 1 more ingredient and there's half a cup of American cheese. I ended up dicing it instead of grating it. Even when I put it in the freezer, it wasn't really cooperating. And sometimes dicing it into small pieces just works a little better for me. It says American cheese in the recipe, but I'm guessing you could probably change up the cheese if you aren't a fan. This is kind of like a pancake batter almost, very interesting. That's the consistency that I'm getting. I have paprika here, but you don't use this until after it's done baking. It's sort of like right before serving, you sprinkle on some paprika. I wanna come up and show you this, what looks like batter. It's like the egg mixture. If I can get it to focus. Yeah, see how like thick it is? Wow, all right, whatever. So I have a small buttered dish. Didn't give a dish size. I'm trying to see, it says 700 milliliters on the bottom. And I went ahead and I buttered this. So I was just kind of basing it on my ingredients, like how much I had. Just smooth it. I'm so curious about how this is gonna be. Well, that's where we're at. So I'm gonna bake this at 350 degrees. I don't know for how long. I'm gonna have to just get back to you. 35 minutes. This took about 35 minutes to get just like a little toasty on the top. It was solid at maybe like 25 to 30 minutes. You know, I wanted a little bit of browning on top. Before I try it, I'm gonna just sprinkle a little bit of paprika on the top. And no, I don't have Watkins paprika here. I have my sweet paprika from Adun Spice Company. This is a local place where I like to go and buy some of my spices. I'm gonna go ahead and link them in my description because they have some really wonderful spice blends that I love so much that I gave some of them as Christmas gifts last year. I was gonna say this year, but 2025. There's a Tuscan salt blend that is particularly nice. And there's also one called, I think it's Brown Sugar Babe, that is just absolutely delicious. So, you know, if you're looking for some spices, they make, you know, they're delicious, but they also make wonderful gifts. Now I'm gonna give this a taste. I'm so intrigued by this dish. I thought it was gonna be more eggy looking. I mean, it looks kind of like bread, and it is like dry and toasty on top like bread. I'm the only one who's gonna eat this, by the way. That's why I'm like, you know, whatever, it's fine. Yeah, I was gonna scoop it with like a spoon, but I'm like, maybe I can cut this. I don't know. So we're gonna try cutting it into like little squares. Oh, melty cheese. So melty. It seems nice and solid inside, like when I inserted a knife. Yeah, oh my gosh, it's like French toast-y. Let's just get a little square out here. Oh my gosh, it is like very cheesy. Oh, it is so cheesy. Now I know why it's cheese dish. Look how it's very toasty right here on the edge, like the edge that was touching the dish. And it's like super melty inside. Definitely it is cooked. It's just the little cheese cubes are melting. Okay, is this gonna be like a toasted cheese casserole? Oh, it's so hot. That's so interesting. It's like savory cheese bread pudding. I've never had anything quite like this, I think. But it is kind of bread pudding-esque, except there's no bread chunks. It's just like the breadcrumbs. It tastes pretty good. It does kind of taste like a toasted cheese. Yeah, I don't know. The seasoning is pretty basic. I'd probably like season it up just a little differently. Maybe add some like garlic or onion powder or something. Honestly, they're kind of tasty and like really different. This is in the cheese and egg dishes section. So I guess you could go breakfast with this or lunch or dinner. You could have it any time of day. I got some of the pepper and it was really good. I'd probably add a little more pepper too. This was fun. This was a fun one. This edition of the Watkins Cookbook was published in 1948. This is the 8th edition and it was originally $2. I do have the 4th edition from 1943. And this one was $1.50. I decided on this one because it actually had a few photographs in it and this one doesn't. And they published so many different versions of the Watkins Cookbook. In fact, Kevin over at Cavalcade of Food has very recently done a video on some of the different versions of the Watkins Cookbook. So please go and check out his video. I'll link it in the description down below if you want to learn like more about the different versions of this book. This was a pleasant surprise. I don't go into these videos, you know, with a lot of expectations necessarily. I try to choose recipes that I think I'll like, or at least they contain ingredients that I'm pretty sure I'll like because I don't want to waste food if I absolutely hate something. I try to keep it kind of middle of the road, and these recipes were a little bit unusual, but they were really good. And just really surprising overall. I also like that these were very simple ingredients. I didn't have to shop for anything. I had every single ingredient on hand for these recipes. A lot of them were pantry ingredients, or like for the bacon, for the spaghetti, I keep bacon in my freezer usually, so I just pull the pack out and let it thaw in anticipation of this video. So, you know, potentially they could be very easy things to make with just like what you have, which is great in a snowstorm, which is what we just had and a lot of other people also experienced. So let's take a little peek inside this book. There's not a lot of photographs. We do have this beautiful opening photograph with melon balls of different types and colors. So this type of book, you know, these books that are published by like food companies, they're trying to get you to use and like buy and use their products basically, even though you don't typically absolutely need to, which I didn't use any Watkins products. This is really just like their line of products. As I mentioned, they started as like a liniment company and they had some other like home remedies and stuff like that. And then they added food and baking products. So this has like the vanilla, the peppermint extract, like the different flavors of extracts, beverages and different things. They had dessert mixes. I don't really know exactly what's in their line nowadays. I mostly see like seasoning, spices, extracts. I know they still do personal care products, but according to the Wikipedia article I read, they kind of sold that division to someone else. So it's not really produced in the same place as their other products. We have a couple of cakes here. There are a lot of baking recipes in this book because they had so many baking ingredients in their line of products. This showcases more of their spices and then like their desserts and stuff down here. It's a really beautiful photograph. I love it. And you know I love seeing product packaging from the past. It's one of my favorite things. They don't have as many like direct sales representatives as they once did. I think most of their business is retail at this point. Nowadays, not at this point, but now. This page just floated on out and it looks like there was something at the top. I'll have to consult my other book and see. Let's do some sleuthing. If this one indeed like matches up with the newer version. The recipe that is missing in my 1948 edition, if it matches this one, the 1943, it looks like someone either cut out the caramel cookies or the butterscotch brownies. Like they wanted it for that. Guess they're good. I'll have to try them. Like most other cookbooks, it's divided into different sections. Some of them are pretty basic. Some of them are kind of interesting. Breads, biscuits, donuts, soups, cheese and egg dishes, fish, poultry. It's a pretty long list of like the table of contents here. They also have a chapter that is called soybean as a substitute for meat. So if you're trying to cut back, have like some meatless Mondays. This is 1948, but like my other edition is 1943. So some of those recipes might have been sort of like a rollover from World War II, like when people were not able to get as much meat or they were trying to cook with less meat. There's one chapter in here called Food for Invalids. So food for people who are ill or they can't eat as they regularly would for some reason. It's a doozy, I'm telling you. So I was aware of some of the dishes in here just from like movies I've seen, like older movies that I've seen, books that I've read. For instance, albumin water right here at the top. I think I read a book where someone was really, really sick long time ago. I'm trying to remember what book it is. And she had to, like all they were giving her was albumin water, which is the white of an egg. You stir it into a glass of water and you add sugar if it's permissible according to this. And that's like the nutrition that this person was getting in this story. I want to say her sister snuck her some food and it helped her recover. Am I making this up? What book is this? Because she was trying to survive on this like egg white water. Orange albumin, beef tea, cornmeal gruel, broths and stuff. There was one in here that was like toast water. Yes! Toast water. Please just give me some like chicken noodle soup or something. I don't really, if I have to eat toast water, that's fine. But it says equal measures of toasted stale bread and boiling water. Let stand for an hour. Season with what it doesn't say. Strain and serve hot. Hot or cold. You can use a pinch of salt. Given in cases of extreme nausea. Okay, I get it. It's bland. I'll probably just have like saltines or something if that's permissible. I thought that was just such an interesting thing to read. When I think of food for someone who's not feeling well, I mean, it really depends. It's a case-to-case thing, like what they're allowed to have, what they feel like eating. But I always think of like, you know, ginger ale. Broth, maybe some tea, something like that. The other chapter in here that I really liked, I mean, there were several. This book is really something else. I guess like I started collecting cookbooks because I liked the photographs or the fonts or the colorful like illustrations and stuff. And this doesn't really go there. Like this doesn't have that. It has a very straightforward kind of feel to it. But wow, like the recipes I made were like pretty good. And also it's just kind of fascinating to read through this. So they have economy meats and salads, economy desserts, basically dishes that save you a little bit of money, which I'm always interested in. I love doing like budget videos here when I can. Economy recipes. So maybe I'll have to bring this book back out when I'm ready to do like focus on more like full budget meals kind of thing. Although the recipes I made, like you could probably consider them budget just because they don't take a lot. So there's a famous chicken curry recipe in here. Maybe you've made that if you're like into this kind of thing, like Watkins stuff. Maybe that's one of their signature recipes. Yeah, chili con carne is in here. I've made a couple of versions of chili con carne for my budget videos. Soup from leftover cereal. Well, we're gonna look at this one. So I hope this is focusing. Heat cereal and milk in double boiler until boiling point. Beat with a rotary beater until well blended. Add butter and seasoning. So I guess if you have like leftover, it doesn't say, it just says cooked cereal. So cream of wheat, cream of rice, maybe some oats or something. Okay, do what you gotta do to use those leftovers. Yeah, lots of casseroles and things like that. It seems like stuff that you can use up your leftovers, like if you have bits of meat or something like that. Stuff you can combine together, make a one-dish meal. But I want to talk about the recipes that I made today because I had so much fun with this. I can't even tell you. So I started with my cornflake pudding recipe. I mean, I really didn't know what to expect going into all three of these recipes, but like cornflake pudding, like I've never heard of that. I would compare it to flan. So it was kind of custardy on the bottom, and it had some like self-saucing going on. Sort of like if you make flan or something and you tip it out and then there's like that caramely stuff on top, that sauce. But the top of it in the baking dish, you had your cornflakes. So some of those like rose up and got toasty. So it was a very fun contrast with all of the different textures and really delicious. A nice sweet treat, kind of old-fashioned tasting. I gotta say, you have to like molasses if you want to try this dish. I know molasses isn't for everyone. There's a fair amount of like sugar in it to make it nice and sweet, but you do get that like molasses taste. So I'm just putting that out there. It was a very unusual dessert. I think I would make this again just to try to surprise people. I could almost see this as something someone would make in like an innovative and fancier kind of restaurant. Like, oh, I'm experimenting with things. We're doing a cornflake pudding. I don't know, maybe not, but like that's kind of what it reminds me of. I liked it. I mean, I really did like it. My second recipe was spaghetti. That's simply just called spaghetti, which could mean a lot of things. Everybody has like different ways they like to make spaghetti. And this was a very unusual way like that I'd never tried this before. And I compared it to like jolly spaghetti, like Filipino spaghetti, because it had a sweetness from the tomato soup. I use tomato bisque. I'm fully aware tomato bisque is slightly, like canned tomato bisque is different. It's got more cream in it. It has pieces of tomato. So I do want to try this again when I get to the store and just get like a normal, just regular can of tomato soup. But as I made it, really, like I love that sort of sweet spaghetti. Like you have to know what you're getting yourself into, okay? If you're like ordering spaghetti at Jollibee, it's not like ordering spaghetti at a more Italian-ish restaurant. I enjoyed it quite a bit. The fat from the bacon, it just really made the sauce cling to the noodles in a really good way. So I'm happy I found this because like I said, I can't, like I don't have Jollibee here. So if I'm having a little bit of a craving, this isn't exactly the same, but it's adjacent to that kind of dish. And finally, cheese dish. Oh, I just love this like very generic name. All of these are kind of like surprises because they are generic names, I guess. You're like, well, I don't know what to expect from that. So this cheese dish was like, when it came out, kind of like toasted cheese bread pudding. That's the best I can do here. I thought maybe an egg bake, but there wasn't quite enough of the egg milk mixture to give it that egginess. It was mostly bready. All of the liquid kind of absorbing into those dry breadcrumbs and then like bringing them back to life. This one took, I would say like 30 to 35 minutes at 350. I'm gonna go ahead and leave all of the recipes in the description below this video, but I'm gonna make notes because there were some very vague instructions in these recipes and I wanna make sure that you know what I did so that maybe it'll give you an idea of what you should do if you wanna try these. The dish got, it's solidified, toasty on the outside, kind of softer on the inside, and then you have those little pockets of cheese. You can change, I think you could change up the cheese. Like I used American cheese because that's what it said in the recipe and I wanted to try it as is. But do a different kind of cheese if you're not into American cheese. So my other thought here, well, actually two things. I think this would be really good with like fresh tomatoes, sliced fresh tomatoes with a little salt and pepper. And then my other thought is this would be great for breakfast. I'm gonna have the like rest of it tomorrow morning for breakfast. I think it's gonna be really good with some fruit on the side. I don't know. I think this will work. I think this one will be really good. I enjoyed this cookbook a lot, like even more than I really thought I would. It's kind of unassuming. A lot of recipes, like most of them don't have a lot of ingredients, but the ones that I chose, like they were so much fun to make and to eat really. What did you think of my recipe selections? Have you eaten any of these dishes? Did you grow up eating them or do you make them a lot? I'd love to hear about that, so please leave me a comment. I'd like to say a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to join us over there, I'll have a link in the description so that you can do that. Be sure to look out for each other and take care of each other, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.